Hello and welcome to Finding Your Holy Grail, a show produced through Passionate World Talk Radio, whose goal is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. I am your host, Dr. Mandy Simon. I'm so pleased today to be joined by my guest, Meredith Allan. Meredith, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Greetings from Los Angeles.
Fantastic. Can you just start out giving our audience a little bit of your background, your history, the thing that gets you up each day?
Thank you, Mandy. I think that there's never a moment where I find people waking up and saying, I'd rather not be inspired today. I'd rather not be motivated. And so what fuels my soul is being the light for entrepreneurs, for people looking for change in their lives, for people who are feeling stuck, and taking a stand and helping people move and really create magic ultimately in their lives. And it's been a labor of love for the majority of my life. However, a little side note is that I started out in journalism. And my passion for sharing gorgeous stories started at a very young age and blossomed into opportunities to work for every network in the United States over the years, including ABC, CNN, Fox, and ABC, NBC, all of them. And then ultimately what I discovered, however, was that reading the news or being a facilitator of news wasn't often pleasant. In fact, it was at times very dark. And it wasn't until I received this spectacular short email from a doctor one day that said, Meredith, can you help me save lives? That I thought, something with meaning, purpose. Yes, what can I do to help you? And it turns out that doctor had a marketing problem. And I was able to help him create a very unique, silly campaign, actually. Humor really works. And it transformed the trajectory of his practice, enabling him to have such abundance that he had to hire, I believe it was 8 new doctors in our first year to handle the volume of work. And so there's this wonderful passion for helping people master their message. So that's where my journalism roots come from, is that we all have a gorgeous story. And sharing it just unlocks so much connection, joy, and often abundance. But we have to be brave. And not everybody is always feeling their brave moments. So I specialize in helping people rise into those moments.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. And I think it's really important, the viewers at home actually really understand the background of the show, which is about building resilience and living fearlessly. And it's so important to understand that when we talk about living resilience, it's not about toughing it out each day. And it's also recognizing what are these tools that we already have within inside of ourselves that we can pull out and understand how to utilize them in times of hardship. And really, since the pandemic has hit, we understand hardship in a completely different way. And one of the aspects of this show that I love so much is the build resilience, live fearless, recognizing that to live fearless has nothing to do with living without fear. We are all fearful. We are all vulnerable. We are all striving each day to learn how to survive in a completely different environment in which we're just really learning now how to start to thrive again. And this is one of the reasons that you're here with us. And I'm just so delighted that we get to share your message with the audience and the viewers, and just allowing them to understand from your own expertise how they can pull this out of themselves and recognize they already have this within their power, and they can help inspire others so that we all thrive regardless of what's happening out there each day.
Well, thank you. It is an honor. And I think it's a privilege to share a little bit about my story, because I don't think we're all so different. I think many of us as a child or in our formative years, we develop a dream or a vision. And then society, often our families shut it down, and they don't even realize they're doing it. But like, oh, that beautiful home is for for rich people, or, you know, if you weren't a girl, blah, 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 you know. Thankfully, I wasn't in that camp. My dad was quite unique, and he and my mother encouraged me to do some things that I know don't come easy to many. But my dad said to me as a little girl, "You can be president of the world." And I actually thought that was a thing. You know, and if you want to be president of the world, let me know. I will support you. And that was really gorgeous and lovely. However, when I went to school, not everybody was as supportive. And through the years, one of the things that's really interesting about the time that we're in right now is this is the time I was born to be in. And this is the time where I get to serve on my highest level, because I've been through extraordinary, difficult times. And as a child, I actually lived in 14 homes before I went to college. And many people don't know that fact about me. But what I learned were two things. My mother was a master enroller, and she shared with me that, Meredith, you're so lucky. You get to have friends all over the United States, and other kids have to stay in the same old home, go to the same old school, and live the same old lives. So I didn't recognize that my mother was teaching me that my mindset in adversity was critical. And I believed her. It was just this wonderful journey of friends in Texas, friends in Philadelphia, you know, literally all over the United States as a child. I knew nothing different. My mom was a worker bee, and I guess I was a little odd. I thought, you know, why don't all moms work? What do they do all day if they don't go to work? Like, I thought it was really interesting, you know? So I was always, you know, thinking I would have a career as well. But, you know, life socks us with these really shocking at times circumstances. And what I have learned, and the gift I would like to impart upon your audience today, is that the greatest gift you can give yourself is permission to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable. So people are like, what?
Yeah, it's, you know me, I don't often say what, and I love it because this is an important challenge each day for each of us. Tell us more.
Yes. Okay. Well, you know, I came from a very unique childhood, obviously, having moved so much. And with those endeavors, my parents were entrepreneurs. They also had jobs through the years. They were very adventurous, and they were not risk averse, to say the least. But with that came some really wonderful, abundant times as a child, and some more challenging times. So riding that wave and seeing still the consistent love and joy that my parents had, my father literally taught me to be courageous. And so when there was, sadly, a series of circumstances that depleted my parents' savings just before college, you can imagine that I got to get creative. And you know, I mean, my mom and dad were like, why don't you just go to community college? That would be easy, right? And I rarely picked the easy path. I was like, oh, no. I will look into this. I remember as a child setting up a meeting with my guidance counselor, like, we got to talk some sense into my parents. And it became this lifelong quest of, I'm not taking the easy path, but I had a dream my whole life to inspire people. And that looked like broadcasting, that looked like television. And I couldn't do that from the same town that I lived in, was the story I believed. And I needed to go somewhere I had never been. And how often do we realize that what's holding us back is not just the fear, but almost like a story or an excuse we're generating, making up about what's not possible? What if we were to reverse that and really dive deep into what's possible, even if it's terrifying? You know, as a young lady going to New York, which is where I got a scholarship, thank goodness, to my alma mater, Marist College in Poughkeepsie. You know, I researched all over the United States the best television and journalism internship programs, and Marist had a phenomenal program. But it wasn't good enough just to go. I had to push the limits. So as a student, I broke a record. And I got to work with Barbara Walters at her brand new show at the time, The View. I became the first intern in history to work on Barbara Walters specials. And none of these things came simply, but I believe when you are clear, so I will walk you through some steps. The first is clarity. If you have a dream or a goal, go for it and be terrified and shake from the fear at moments, but walk straight through and into it. And it is like the universe, time and time again, Mandy, will deliver amazing, abundant, juicy, gorgeous things. And most frequently, to me, connection. So if you are clear on your goal, then you can absolutely get connected with the tools that you need. It might be individuals. For me, I was speaking my goal everywhere I went. So as a student in college, I worked, get this, 2 jobs every summer, 80 hours a week in a resort. And I told everybody I knew I was retiring Barbara Walters. So of course, when Barbara Walters' producer jumped into a line at the resort I was working at and happened to be in the line next to me with my girlfriend, she looked at the notes and said, "Meredith, I think Mr. Wallace, could you help me and could you take care of him? He works for ABC." So it was like, "Oh, Mr. Wallace, I see you work at ABC. I was considering interning there." And he looked at my name tag. "Well, Meredith, very seriously, what is it that you want to do?" And I'm like, "Well," and I said what I always say, "I plan to retire Barbara Walters, actually." And he said, "Well then, you'll want to work directly with me." Handed me his card and said, "I am Barbara Walters' producer." Like, hello, universe, alignment, stretching, pushing, being brave,
This is so important. Your enthusiasm, the delivery, everything that you're saying. One of the most important things about what allows us to understand that it's within us, that it's part of us, is when we feel it so deeply, exactly the way that you're doing this with the audience. And I'm really grateful to you for doing this because I can feel it and I love the excitement of it. I think it's so phenomenal.
Well, thank you. And, I think that when that is something that has definitely always been within me, my joy. I can't keep it to myself. I want to share it. So that even circles perfectly into connecting. And, I remember sitting in Mr. Wallace's office at ABC, and he said, "You can't tell anybody," but this was many years ago. I feel like I can let the secret out. Barbara Walters and people like myself who work with her, we are all known as the crazies. And I'm like, interesting, because you have to be crazy to follow your dream. You have to be crazy to pursue the most famous people in the world and unlock their truths and share their stories. And, these crazy, wild, wonderful dreams, let you not only see it done, but surround yourself with the people who believe in you. And trust that they, like my friend Nicole, who I'm still friends with to this day, who traded places with me as she had no interest in television, in that line, opened up so much lovely opportunity that I never would have dreamt possible had I not been clear. I didn't know how I was going to get to work with Barbara Walters or someday retire her, if you will. But I knew that if I kept speaking it, if I told everybody I knew, because I was clear that it was possible, then it doesn't matter how you get there. And it's always going to be stretching. So getting uncomfortable and being clear and connected really are the foundation. But guess what? Here's the hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
You can't get there to your dream, your goal, getting unstuck, not only without getting uncomfortable, but I call this the 3 C's. So notice the little theme. So again, it's clarity, connection, but the final C, which comes up over and over and over again, is courage.
Sure.
We must live courageous lives. I mean, as a doctor and your stature, You cannot go in shrinking and shaking to handle your patients. Even if there is trepidation or concern, you must be brave, right? I mean, I would love to hear from your perspective, what does courageous mean to you?
Yeah. You know, honestly, I feel like, and thank you for sharing this. It's so beautiful to hear the way that you're unpacking it and unfolding it. And it's nice because so far we have the 3 C's that can allow people to remember this, right? And so just remind the audience at this time the 3 C's.
Sure. So clarity is the first. What is your vision? What is your dream? How are you serving in the world? Maybe it's your dream is to be a parent. Whatever it is, it's perfect. But you must recognize that a dream without goals, as we've heard in quotes, is just a dream. We must connect with where it embodies our heart, in our heart, dropping into our heart, and then make actual connections, with others, because we move forward faster when we're not alone. So clarity, connection, both with ourselves and others, and then with unstoppable courage. The final C is what seals the deal, because you can be connected, but if you're not willing to, when the opportunity comes, seize it, if you're not willing to be terrified to some extent, but know that it's right. And it doesn't matter. In my case, I had a huge opportunity to fulfill a dream to come to California, my life's dream and vision. And I'll never forget my sweet, dear mother saying to me, "You can't go to California. You have a radio show here in Nevada, clients everywhere. Your family is here. You have no family there." And for a minute, I listened to her. And then I remembered, it doesn't matter what my mother thinks as much as I love her. It is my life and my dream. And it doesn't have to have anything buttoned up like a bow. In fact, if you're waiting for your dream to drop down in a beautiful box and unwrap it, good luck with that.
Yeah. And I think this is so important because we are at this moment in the history of our world in a way that even those that came before us haven't been. We haven't had experience of such adversity on a global level that binds us together, that creates this kind of connection between all of us ever in the history of the world as we've understood it. And you asked me a question specifically. You asked me, what does the courage feel like? And the truth is that courage is really about understanding that the how doesn't matter, that it feels terrifying, that each day is a new moment, but that regardless, if you're willing to just take inventory of who you are, what you've accomplished, what you've seen and felt, and and you can act from that position of knowing, that is you taking your daily practice of courage forward each day, right? And you know that you have seen things that you didn't think that you could ever get through, and you did. And you just repeat that. You rinse it, you repeat it. You do it over and over and over and over. And one day you find that you've led a really courageous life.
Absolutely. And I put me out of my misery, let me be dead in a box somewhere when I stop growing and pushing my limits. I am uncomfortable almost every day. I have uncomfortable conversations to help people who need somebody to be a loving interruption. I mentor a lot of people in the world, and it's not comfortable sometimes saying, you're not showing up and this isn't working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and you've helped me so much with this. It's been so phenomenal for me, and just the working relationship that we've had. And it's just, so for anyone at home that is ready for this next step, this big step, this show up and live your life of courage and vision and miracles, as I always say, is to really be clear on what Meredith is offering as your call to action today. And it is in the 3 C's. And it's about clarity. It's about connection. And by more and far wider than anything else, it is about your courage to actually carry that through. See it to the end and recognize that it's already in you. And all you have to do is show up and do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Whew. It's so nice to hear it in your words. You know, it was a long journey for me to get here. But one thing I know for sure is I didn't have to do it alone. I had beautiful mentors. It is an honor to have you in my life, and you and Gordon. and you know, I just cherish. I think it's actually a privilege to lift others, whether it's, you know, when I'm hired to do a training or a speech, or literally mentor people through tough spots. But whatever it is, the game that you're up to, be all in. Yeah. And all in, as you said, is just courageous, you know, and even, you know, I love this. I don't know about you, but and any of you watching, if you ever follow Mel Robbins, but she has this thing like, you're never going to feel like it. You're never going to wake up and say, let me take on the world. Get up anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You're never
if you can, get up an hour early to get a head start on that day. Even if you're tired, get up anyway.
I love the joy and the energy of this conversation, and just knowing the times that we're living in and that we're able to sit here and have this kind of discussion. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. And I'm really, really grateful to you. I would love for you to share with the audience how they can reach out and follow your work.
Thank you. Well, you know, I love to connect via email, so you can reach me at meredith@themeredithshow.com, and I am The Meredith Show on Instagram and Facebook, and so all those usual places, LinkedIn. Yeah. And I love connecting, and I hope that we can remain connected. But one thing I'll say for sure is thank you for creating such a gorgeous program in such a time, as you said, that the world needs more than ever. And it is such, I mean, I've been looking forward to being with you since you even mentioned the opportunity on this program. And there's so many great guests that you've put together. So I just want to say it's an honor to be a part of this. And I would be delighted to continue to stay connected through any of those mediums. Thank you.
Great. So the other thing that I want to remind our audience at home is how important it is to use the companion workbook that comes with our show, so that you can really look back from week after week and just see what you've accomplished. And so this week, the call to action is going to be to create your 3 C's and to really follow them through. So make sure that you download that with this week's show. I would like to thank Passionate World Talk Radio for providing a platform on their internet radio station for our show, Finding Your Holy Grail. To find out more, you can visit www.passionateworldtalkradio.com and www.findingyourholygrail.com. I would love to hear from you. You can write to me at findingyourholygrail@gmail.com. I would also just like to wish you an amazing week. Thank you for joining us week after week. I'm so thrilled to have this opportunity. Meredith, thank you for being here with us. It's tremendous to have you as a guest.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Sending you so much love.
Thank you. And for everyone at home, until next week, keep safe and stay brave.